Well, top officials in China are vowing to strengthen the country's food safety laws and crack down on underground workshops. That's the news coming out of a bi-monthly meeting of the National People's Congress Standing Committee. Joining us to talk more about this is Victor Gao. He's an international expert on Chinese issues. And Mr. Gao, this food safety law is being reviewed and revised, and some are describing it as the toughest one in history. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, I think food security in recent years has become such an important topic because it has a direct impact on the livelihood and the safety of living in China. And people are demanding tough measures by the government to make sure that the food and the drinks that we use in our daily life are safe and secure. And China has a single market. Goods and services move across the whole country, penetrating to the 1.4 billion Chinese consumers with minimum internal barrier. Therefore, while this is very good for internal trade, it also creates facility sometimes for unsafe goods to travel around and go to places where the consumers are not fully aware of. Therefore, I think the country needs to come up with an overarching framework so that food security will not only be emphasized, but those who are guilty of unsafe products resulting in a death or injury of the people will need to be held accountable. So I think this new regulation is aimed at making sure that the food and the drinks that we use in our daily life are up to standard.
Victor, you said that people are demanding it, obviously the government listening. This is the first revision, from what I understand, in 5 years. What would you say are some of the highlights of it?
Well, first of all, I think the institutionalized a national kind of a system, because while in China we have a national body in the State Council responsible for food security. However, the actual implementation is very much local. We have 31 provinces internally here, and the actual monitoring and the implementation of the food security is actually down to the grassroots level, at the level. Therefore, I think how to make sure that we have a centralized system whereby information can be shared and the implementation work can be enforced. And especially when I say goods produced in one part of China can be shipped to any part of China with minimum internal barrier. What if we discover problems, but then how can we make sure that other parts of China will be fully informed and measures can be taken on the systematic level? All these, I think, are very important new measures that we need to come across with in making sure that the food and drink security can be maintained in China.
How quickly can one expect to see results, do you think, with these changes?
Well, I think it will take time, mainly because in China, when we have a national level legislation or administrative law adopted, it takes time to go down through the hierarchical system to the provinces and then down to the cities. More or less, we have this three-tier structure in China. And sometimes different provinces also need to come up with their own rules and laws. And also the food security enforcement people need to be educated, and companies need to be alerted. New standards and new ways of doing things need to be implemented, and the consumers also need to be made fully aware so that their rights can be fully protected. Lawyers and other advocacy groups also need to be brought into play. So you are talking about a very systematic effort without which we cannot succeed in this effort. But one thing is clear, in China, we need to have the most strict and up to international standard safety and security measures to make sure that the food and drinks that we consume are safe. This is the minimum the government can do for the people.
Victor Gao, live for us in Beijing. Thanks so much for joining us.